Imagine waking up tomorrow and it's raining, not a storm, but 40 days and nights of rain that never stops, until the entire world, has disappeared beneath the water. This is the story of Noah's Ark, and it's far darker, stranger, and more intense than the cute cartoon version you grew up with. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a rainbow the same way again. Genesis describes a world that had gone completely wrong. Humanity had spread across the earth, but corruption and violence had spread right along with it. God looked at the world and saw that human hearts had turned almost entirely toward evil. Not occasionally evil, but consistently, deeply evil. The text says, God regretted ever creating mankind. That's not a children's book sentence. That's heartbreak on a cosmic scale. So God made a decision. A flood would come, a complete reset for creation itself. But in the middle of all that corruption, one man stood apart. His name was Noah, described simply as righteous, blameless, and someone who walked faithfully with God. No army, no political power, no special abilities, just a man who stayed faithful while the rest of the world fell apart around him. Picture being the only honest person at your job, the only person who still believes in something while everyone around you has stopped caring entirely. That was Noah's daily reality. God spoke to him directly, and the message wasn't comforting, it was a warning. Floodwaters were coming to destroy all life under the heavens. Total destruction was the plan. But there was a way out. God gave Noah detailed instructions to build an ark. And not just any boat. The dimensions are staggering. 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, 45 feet high. For comparison, that's roughly the length of 1.5 football fields, and taller than a 4-story building. He was told to build it from gopher wood, sealing it inside and out with pitch. 3 decks. A door in the side, a window near the roof. And here's the detail most people skip over. There's no record of Noah ever building or sailing anything like this before. Just a man, a hammer, and an instruction that must have sounded completely insane to everyone watching. Try to picture the scene. Noah building a massive vessel nowhere near an ocean, with no rain in sight and no clouds on the horizon. Jewish and early Christian traditions suggest this project took decades to complete. That means Noah's neighbors didn't just watch him work for a week. They watched him for years, mocking him the entire time, while he kept hammering anyway. That's the part of the story that rarely makes it into the kids' version. The sheer, grinding patience of obedience, with zero visible proof it would ever pay off. Then came an even stranger task. God instructed Noah to bring pairs of every kind of animal onto the ark to keep them alive: birds, livestock, creeping things, every kind, converging on one wooden structure from forests, plains, and mountains. No trucks, no zoos, no cargo containers. Genesis says they simply came to Noah, 2 by 2, as if something beyond his own effort was guiding them in. In the end, it was just 8 people. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives, responsible for the survival of every land animal on earth. Then comes one of the most chilling moments in the entire account. The door of the ark closed, not by Noah's hand, but by God's own. There was no reopening it from the inside, no last-minute negotiations with neighbors who'd suddenly changed their minds. The decision had been made. 7 days later, the floodgates of heaven opened, and the underground springs of the earth burst forth at the very same moment. This wasn't just rain falling from clouds, something was erupting from beneath the ground too. For 40 days and nights straight, the water didn't just fall, it rose, eventually covering even the highest mountains by more than 20 feet. Everything outside that one wooden hall was completely gone. Inside, 8 people and thousands of animals sat in total darkness, listening to rain hammer against the wood, with no idea how long this would last. No weather forecasts, no countdown clock, just faith that the God who sealed the door would be the one to open it again. Life inside the ark was nothing like the peaceful image most of us picture. 3 levels packed with animals, limited food storage, no real ventilation. Try imagining the smell alone, or the constant sound of water against wood and animals stirring in the dark. The floodwaters prevailed on the earth for 150 days before they even began to recede. That's 5 months of total isolation, trapped with your own family and every creature you've ever feared, with no sunlight, no land, and no certainty it would ever end. This wasn't a peaceful cruise. It was one of the most intense survival situations ever recorded in ancient literature. Eventually, the rain stopped, and the water began to go down. The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, a range still standing today in modern-day Turkey. But landing didn't mean freedom just yet. Noah waited and waited. He sent out a raven first, which flew off and never returned. Then he sent a dove. The first time, it came back, there was nowhere dry enough to land. The second time, it returned carrying an olive leaf, the first sign of new life on a planet that had been completely underwater. The third time, the dove didn't come back at all. That was the sign. The world was ready again. When Noah finally opened the door and stepped outside, he wasn't just stepping onto dry land. He was stepping into a brand new world with no other humans in it. No cities, no neighbors, no noise, just his family, the animals, and silence where civilization used to be. The first thing he did wasn't celebrate. He built an altar and offered a sacrifice before anything else, worship and gratitude, before relief. And then came the moment this entire story is remembered for. God made a covenant promising he would never again destroy the earth with a flood, and sealed that promise with a sign in the sky, the rainbow. Every single time you've seen a rainbow after a storm, you've been looking at a symbol with roots in this exact story. A sign meant to say that destruction is never the final word. That's the real ending of Noah's Ark. Not just survival, not just animals walking off a boat 2 by 2, but a promise a fresh start. And a reminder that even after the worst storm imaginable, there's dry ground waiting on the other side. So here's the question we're sitting with. Noah didn't have proof it would rain. No forecast, no sign, not a single neighbor who believed him, just a voice telling him to build, and the choice to trust it one plank at a time. What would it look like for you to keep building, even when no one around you understands why? If this video helped you see this story in a new light, hit subscribe, because next time, we're tackling another story you think you know, but really don't.